Have you been looking for a way to stay focused on your goals and grow your MSP? Accountability groups from RocketMSP can help. We offer weekly accountability sessions that meet online with a group of your peers. Your success begins with accountability. Go to www.rocketmsp.io to join your accountability group today. Hey there, and welcome to yet another episode of the RocketMSP podcast. Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey Steve,
doing well.
Doing well, mate. Yourself?
I'm doing really well. So I'm joined by, now I'm going to mess it up because I feel like it should be Andrey, right?
Yeah, no, you got it in one, mate.
Okay. So I'm joined by Andrey and Tas. And whenever I think of Tas, I just think of the Looney Tunes with the, like just me. Okay. So guys, I'm glad you're here. Tas, you were here a few weeks ago. We talked about some best practices with Microsoft 365 management, and you kind of alluded to the fact that in order to do everything that you guys are doing, you had to use a tool, because logging into all of these different web portals and doing all of this stuff would be really time consuming.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
So your company, MSPMagic, has some magic.
We like to think so.
And before we get too far, if you, while watching this, see me sweating profusely, I'm sorry. I just turned off the house fan to try and give you guys a little bit better audio quality. And it's, I think it's 80 degrees, and I'm sad. So we'll make it work. So, Tas, can you quickly remind everyone who you are, what you do, how long you've done it?
Yeah, absolutely. I might leave that part out, but so I'm Tas is my name, obviously, over here in Melbourne, Australia. I've been running my MSP for near 10 years now. Very much focused on the M365 stack and all of that good stuff that we talked about last time, and that takes up a lot of my time. And then in more recent times, ventured out into another little startup with Andrey over here, and that's what we're here to talk about today, which is MSPMagic, which is essentially a tool that we've built to help the MSP deliver the services it does on the M365 stack.
Excellent. And Andrey, how about you give us a little background on you, please?
Yeah, sure thing, Andrey. So I had the product innovation and software development team here at MSPMagic, and my not too long previous life before joining, it was working for a two-tier CSP distributor. So I had headed the CSP program there for about 6 years across 8 countries in the APAC region. So worked with a lot of MSPs across the Asia Pacific region, and I just saw that a lot of them having exactly the same problem. And then when Tas came up with a bright idea, I thought it was a really, really good thing to jump onto.
Very cool. Mm-hmm. All right. So give us kind of like the broad strokes. What is MSPMagic?
Hey, Andrey, you answering that or am I?
Oh, man, I'll let you go with it.
So the simple way to put it, I suppose, MSPMagic's a tool that's designed for MSPs specifically to help them overcome the challenges with multi-tenant management in Microsoft 365.
Okay. Excellent. I can't wait to see this thing in a little bit. But before we dive in too far, I want to talk about kind of, about the company a little more, maybe kind of the philosophy behind how you developed the software and that type of stuff. So does your company have any investors?
No, not really. It's me, it's Andre, and we have a third business partner who, and we're the investors.
Okay. Excellent. And everyone that like touches the code of this software, are they employees?
Yep, they are. Got 8 employees in total now working on MSPMagic. And the only thing we really outsource to contractors is like graphics design. That's the only thing that we're not expert at. So,
sure. Yeah. I'm not super great at that either, but I somehow find a way. I get it. All right. So where's everyone located? Everyone in Australia? You got any like Zimbabwe in there or?
No, got a couple of software testers out in Cebu in the Philippines, but in terms of the automation platform, it's all built in Melbourne and Australia.
And I feel like the Philippines for you guys is like Canada for us Americans because, now hear me out. Not because they're north of you, but because like that, what do you call that area? South Asia Pacific or something?
Southeast Asia.
Okay. I feel like Philippines, isn't that one the one with all the islands, or is that Thailand?
That'd be Philippines, yep. All the islands are there.
Okay. So the cool thing with the Philippines is like they speak really well with English. Like they speak just like you do probably, or just like I do or something. Go ahead.
Sorry, Steve. Yeah, I was going to say the funny thing is they do tend to sound more American than Australian.
Right. Which I don't mind because I'm American, but so I guess what I'm saying is when I say they're like your Canada, it's not like you're outsourcing to like India or somewhere where there's like that communication gap, because they learned like British English or they've got broken English or whatever because it's not their first native language. I feel like in the Philippines, it's got to be like their native language, or they just learn it and use it so much from a very early age.
Yeah, I'd say you're probably right on that.
Yeah, so I think like Tagalog is like the native language there, but then it's a very Americanized sort of language to a degree, like when they speak English. And, a lot of companies do a lot of outsourcing, call centers. Like, in Australia in particular, it's a very popular place for telcos to outsource support to. So yeah, English and business there is pretty much the primary language, I think.
Excellent. Well, let's talk about the software itself. So, did you just like take someone else's software and slap your own sticker on it and voila, now I've got MSPMagic?
Well, in a way, Tas is an MSP business. We've been doing a lot of automation for about the last 5 or 6 years using PowerShell. So that was very much the starting point for the proof of concept for MSPMagic. And we kind of built it on top of that. So it was very heavily, PowerShell focused. So it was easy to use if you were a senior technician. Didn't have a lot of like customization to customers. Like you had a template, you just apply it kind of wholesale. But as soon as you had to handle exceptions and things like that, kind of became difficult to manage.
Gotcha.
So what we kind of went was, well, we'll take the PowerShell components of what they've been doing for the last half a decade and build a really nice, clean, easy to use UI over the top of that. And we talked about like sort of the philosophy of the company earlier. Ease of use, I think, has got to be number one for us.
Okay. I like ease of use. That's probably one of my 5 favorite eases. So What are you guys doing differently from your competition? Because there's a few of them out there. There's I'm the kind of guy that I'll just name names, and it's not because I expect you to badmouth them, but I mean everyone knows about them, so what's it going to hurt, right? So there's Simian Cloud, I believe Nuvalex is one, and there's another one that I am drawing a blank on.
There's Skykick is another one that does cloud management, and there's a few others.
I didn't realize Skykick was doing this.
So they do similar kind of stuff. There's also, I think, MSP Easy Tools in the UK, and there's a few that do it really. So when you kind of look at it at a 40,000 foot perspective, there's a fair few competitors. I think they all take a very different approach to what we do, and that's primarily because we're sort of taking what Tas does in his MSP, what worked for him, and kind of building on top of that rather than trying to figure out, hey, what do MSPs need? We have firsthand experience in the pain points. And really, I think to summarize it without sort of devouring each one in great detail is some of them are focused more on the day-to-day management. So that's things like resetting passwords. They'll do things like enable more authentication, or they'll do things across multiple tenants, but they're pretty much all point-in-time tools. So tech has to open it, select what they want to do, click run, and it does it. But it doesn't do it the next day or the day after that or the day after that. Somebody has to keep prompting it to do. And others, some of them have like an easy point-and-click UI. Others are still very heavily focused on the actual PowerShell scripting aspect of it. Skykick is an example. If you run their things, it's all PowerShell, but just in the web UI. So we don't really feel that's really easy to use for a lot of MSPs. If you've got senior advanced PowerShell techs, it can work for them. But if you've got juniors or mid-level staff or even small MSPs where you got one or two technicians, it might not be the easiest thing to adopt.
Okay. Let's talk about support, because eventually we're going to need your help, right?
Yep.
So how do I get you? Because you're on the other side of the world. Like it's the end of the day for me now, and it's not even the start of your day yet. So when I'm doing my work, you guys are sleeping.
Yep, sure are sleeping soundly. In terms of support, we do actually have a support built into the application, so people can raise support tickets directly through the app. It's not hidden. It's very easy to get to. And we do work quite late, so we do have a bit of an overlap. So our late evening tends to be the American morning. And the tool runs it runs automatically once a day. So we generally find we'll sort of help MSPs in America during your morning, our evening, and then our morning is when we'd cover off this half of the world.
Excellent. Okay.
But generally find not a lot of people need too much assistance, just because we have put a lot of effort into making it really easy to use.
Okay. So if somebody does reach out, how long does it take for you to respond?
Well, if we're asleep, a couple of hours. If we're awake, a couple of minutes. So we kind of have a pretty laser focused on that.
And what's your average time to resolve a ticket?
It really depends on availability. If us and the partner are available, obviously partners have their own businesses to run, so they're not always available to chat. But generally, we can get stuff done within a couple of hours.
Okay.
And the questions that we normally get would be more recommendations around best practices. Something like multi-factor authentication, for example, can be really impactful when you first deploy it to a customer's tenancy. So a lot of support tickets are guidance. How should I deploy this in a fashion that's not going to cause hundreds of support tickets for me in the morning? Yeah,
I think that's a good question to ask.
that's a very good question to ask. Exactly.
Especially if you're running an MSP and you've never pushed out and enforced multi-factor authentication to any of your clients. Like, it's a big deal. So it's something where you need to do a lot of planning. You need to do a lot of preparation, not just for yourself, but for the client too.
Yeah.
Like, you probably want to tell them at least once.
Here's a quick heads up. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, we're going to do a thing. It won't hurt a bit. All right. And then, so with all that, do you feel like you have a unique selling proposition? Like, why should MSPs be using you instead of any of those other tools that are out there?
Yeah, really good question. I'll defer that one to you, Tas.
A couple of reasons. So I think that one of the strengths of our product is that we are an MSP, and so therefore we've built a product that's designed for an MSP, but also the fact that we're running an MSP every day really gives us a unique perspective that a lot of the bigger players, I think, in the channel don't necessarily get, or it's harder to understand. And in addition to that, we've gone to great lengths to simplify the product so that it really is just a couple of clicks to get up and running and to get a great deal of value from without needing to go too deep technically.
Okay, I like that. Hey, thanks for listening to part 1. Be sure to check back tomorrow for the next episode.